And we're live. Hey guys, welcome to the first Geek Out Live. I want
Awesome.
to thank you guys so much for watching today or listening to it later. Thanks to everybody in the live chat, and yeah, feed us some questions in the comments or in the live chat over here. Today, I have somebody I'm super excited about having on the channel. Once again, it is Raul El Pelon. Thanks so much
Woo!
for being here, buddy.
Hey, man, thank you so much for having me. And, I am thrilled and flattered, happy that I get to be the first person on this Geek Out Talk chat. And, I thank you so much for having me over, man. I'm a huge fan of yours. And,
Oh, same here.
yeah, and, I love your work, love your channel, and definitely love you more as a person as well, man. After the trips and places we hang out, and to me, it's just great being here with you, man.
Oh man, that's so sweet. Yeah, I just had the idea of, what I really like doing is talking to other collectors in depth, long form about what makes them tick, why do they do it, and why do they decide to put it on YouTube and stuff like that. So with this series, I just wanted to connect even more with the collectors I've come to get to know over the past couple of years, and I was like, I really want to talk to Raul again.
Cool.
We've been on one crazy trip in Mexico, and we got to reconnect once again at Chicago last April. But yeah, I want to kind of know, how are you today? How's everything going for you?
Everything's amazing. Just got off of work today, and got ready for this live, and I'm getting ready this weekend to go to El Salvador.
Oh,
I'm gonna visit a personal collection. Hopefully, I get to go toy hunting. Hopefully, I don't know how the collector market is down there, but I'm super excited because the main reason I'm going to El Salvador this weekend is gonna be to a concert. There's a band, a music band in El Salvador, which I haven't heard any other band. It's called GNX, which means Generation X. And they put up a show. They play a bunch of intros from your favorite shows from the 70s,
oh,
80s, and 90s. So I am excited. The first time I saw this band, GNX, it was on a YouTube video that the algorithm just showed me
push
that.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, what is this? And I pushed play on it, and I just saw this band outside of a mall playing the Thundercats intro with Lionel coming on stage, and then some other guy dressed as Moonra, and then after that they played Saint Seiya intro. Because
Okay.
Saint
Yeah.
Seiya, Caballeros del Zodiaco is huge. It was huge in Mexico, Central, South America,
Mhm.
Brazil, France, and stuff. So they started playing it live with singers live. They have like, I'm not kidding you, they have like 4 or 5 singers,
Okay.
like two girls and 3 guys. Dragon Ball intro, the Ducktales intro, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles intro, a bunch of intros, only cartoons. Mazinger Z, which here in the US was known as Transistor Z. All these production, and then they ended up with the Silverhawks, and they had some guys dressed as Silverhawks coming out, and they had fireworks, and I was like, it was like an
So
hour long concert,
so they
and I
also
was
do
like,
like the deep cuts, or is it just the stuff that was really popular there?
just really popular, and they do, like, for example, Thundercats.
Hmm.
It's, since it's a very short intro, what is it, like maybe a minute,
Yeah,
maybe
probably.
less. They loop it.
Okay.
They do it twice. So they finish it and they start it again. Then, since they're playing live, it's just amazing, and it just blew up my mind that a band. And I've been to many conventions here in the U.S.,
Mhm.
Mexico, other parts in the world, and I've never have come across something like that. And they started posting. I started following them on Instagram, Facebook, and stuff. So they posted that they're gonna have a concert this weekend, like they posted months ago. And I said, you know what? I'm going to El Salvador. I'm flying out there just to check these guys out. And I have a
Right.
contact there that he's gonna show me his personal collection as well. So I'm just thrilled for this weekend. It's gonna be amazing, Ed. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
So you're
mean
gonna shoot some
that's
videos, hopefully, as
I
well.
am. I am.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try my best. I'm gonna try my best. Is just. I mean, you seen me and I seen you record as well. But it's just me and uh, my phone, my little microphone as well. And I'm gonna try to do my best. But for that type of a concert, I wish I would get a better video.
Okay.
But I mean, it's just me. And sometimes I understand people, they want to see toys. Sometimes they don't want to see, they don't want to see the guy that plays the guitar in a band that maybe they don't want to see that. But I'm going actually just for me. I'm going because I want to enjoy the concert. But that personal collection, I will definitely record. And
Awesome.
the guys from the band, I've been in touch with them, and they're like, "Hey, Pelon, yeah, we can do interviews, we can do that." And but I'm not sure if people really care much
Well,
about
you
that.
can
I
always
buy,
like sprinkle it in with a video that starts out with toy hunting and stuff, or just make it about the
yeah,
trip. I feel like it kind of adds to the flavor
you know what?
of the way you were feeling that
Yeah,
weekend, you know?
yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, I mean, I might make it the main event, definitely the personal collection, but like you say, just sprinkle it a little bit here and there with a concert. You're definitely right. But that is mainly the reason that I'm going. And I'm super excited. And again, this is a little reminder of to all the viewers that if you love something, if that's your passion, and you have the time and you have the means of doing it, do it. Do it, because you never know where life is gonna take you.
The name of the band was GMX or
Genie,
yeah,
like generation, GNX,
GNX.
in GNX. So in Spanish is Generación X or GNX. And I mean, they're amazing. It's a great band. And you on YouTube, you can just type band or banda GNX, and it's gonna come up, and you can see
Awesome.
the concert that I'm talking to you, that I'm telling you. And they have a few videos out there, and they're really good. They have really good singers, and they have really good music and stuff. And all the intros. And you know what? It's crazy. The some of the guys that
Mhm.
sing, they sing the intros in Spanish, and they also do it in
Oh, really?
Japanese.
Oh, okay. Wow. For the mangas and
And
stuff.
obviously, some of them they do them in English as well.
Okay. Sweet, man. Well, we
Yes,
have we have like amazing people showing up in the comments section in the
nice.
live chat here. We got people from the UK, people from Argentina,
Ooh,
Florida, Germany, even. So that's awesome. I'm always like
love. I
baffled
love.
when I do like a live or something. It's like, hey, I'm calling in from here. So
Yes.
that's insane, man.
Yeah.
What That's amazing. So we know what you're going to be working on this weekend. El Salvador, amazing. Once again, a crazy trip you're going to have planned out. And
Yes.
what I wanted to start off the interview with is basically like, what were the toys that were most important to you when you were growing up, when you were like really a little kid? Like, what stuck with you? What were you? What are like the first memories of playing with toys?
Well, playing with toys as a general, I remember having a cow. I remember having a cow. It was produced by Kenner here in the United States, but it was made by Lili Ledy, produced by Lili Ledy in Mexico. Back in the early '90s, you could not produce a toy in certain country and just take it to another country.
Yeah, yeah.
If the toy companies wanted to sell it there. They had to look for a home company to produce it. That was the case in Mexico. So Kenner had Lili, and they made this. It was called a Milky Cow. So I remember having that Milky Cow as a kid, and I remember playing the heck out of it. I don't know if you remember that cow. I still have a cow because my cousin had one too. My cow, I don't know where it ended up in, because I play whether, you pull the tail and it sucks water and then you can milk it and it actually
Oh
shoots
wow.
milk.
Okay.
Yeah, because you can put it came with pills. It came with
Yeah.
pills, so you can put it like in the, in the little, in the little teats, and you can
Yeah.
milk it. And but I have my cousins, my aunt, before she passed away, she's like, well, mijo, since you're a toy collector, here I'm gonna give you these toys it's the original from your cousin. And I'm like, oh my god. So I have that toy, but I also bought it almost brand new. And I did a video review on my channel. It's not up yet. It's not out yet, but it will be. It will be pretty soon. And I remember having that. I remember having dinosaurs. I remember having guns, and a bunch of especially a lot of bootleg toys, because in Mexico you sometimes you cannot afford you couldn't afford original
You
toys.
grew up in Chihuahua, Mexico,
Chihuahua,
or you were
Mexico, which
born
is
there? Yeah.
I was born in Chihuahua and I grew up there. I lived there till I was like 13 years old, around
Okay.
there, and then we moved to the United States. Those toys that I'm talking to you, or that I'm telling you, are from my childhood, that I remember having and that I remember playing with them, and I don't remember where they ended up with. Maybe in the trash can. I don't know what happened to them,
I
but
have like a similar experience with some type of a little farm, like a red farm. It had, a horse, it had a little pig, it had a cow and everything.
is that
Um,
was that a play school
it was
or
not Play School, it was actually Playmates.
Playmates?
Yeah, so
Mm,
like mid 80s, Playmates put out apparently
yes,
something like that. And then like years
yes.
later, I found out, wait a minute, I've been connected to Playmates like ever since I was like a little kid through
There you
this
go.
thing. And we still have the remnants of what that once was. So I still have
Oh.
like the little pig from it.
Nice, nice. Well, I mean, at least you have something. From my childhood, I have absolutely nothing. Since
Oh,
we moved
yeah.
to the United States, a lot of stuff happened, and I will tell you in a minute. But when I was about 6 years old, I remember that Christmas, my mom, she bought me, for Christmas, she got me an Optimus Prime. And my mom used to wrap the presents and put them under the tree like weeks before. And I remember opening the present, and I
You
saw it was an
opened it?
yeah, yeah, because
No.
I was
You
I was
ate
by myself. I was by myself at home. The present was there. I was very curious, so I opened it. I peeked and opened it from the side, and from this side, you could open the box and take out the whole transformer without unwrapping the whole thing. So that's what I used to do that Christmas. I used to take out the Optimus, roll it around the house, and oh, it's about time for my mom to be home. So I will put it back in. Nobody will know. And then, when Christmas came over, she was like, here you go. And I was like, oh my God, acted surprised, but obviously I already knew what it was.
already.
But but that Optimus Prime started it all. Started this crazy collection, because all those toys that I told you, the cow, the dinosaurs, the guns, the bootleg toys, I don't know where happened to them. I never kept them. Maybe I gave them away, threw them away. I don't know what happened. But that Optimus Prime, I protected it with my life, and all of the toys after that. Because after that, it came another Transformer, Hoist. And then my mom, she took me to get some vaccinations, and I'm afraid of needles. So I remember I was kicking and I was crying, and then she told me, if you let yourself get this vaccine, I will take you to the store and buy you a transformer. I'm like, okay, go. And yeah,
Okay.
they put.
How many do you
I
want to put
know.
in?
Yeah, sure, go ahead. And then after that, I was like, take me to the store right now. And in Mexico we celebrate Dia del Niño, which is the day of the kid.
Yeah.
We celebrate it on April 30th. And they do festivals, we do parties, and it's a big thing. I remember as a kid, Dia del Niño being a big thing, and my mom used to take me to the store and also buy me a toy. So I remember getting Hound, G1 Hound from the Transformers, that Dia del Niño. And then after that, I remember getting into Ghostbusters. I remember getting into Dino Riders. I got a Ninja Turtle. I got Wrath as a kid. And all of those toys. After that, I started collecting. So I started keeping them, not the boxes. I've never been a mock or minting box kind of a kid and collector as well. But I remember having them loose, and my way of playing with them was to pose them. I love how toys pose, and just looking at them and try to change them a little bit, this and that. And that was my whole thing. And I carried my toys until we moved here to the United States. The first place we moved was Presidio, Texas, which was a very small town. And after that, we moved to LA 2 years later because we were waiting for my dad to fix his immigration status.
Okay.
And when we moved to LA, my mom told me to leave all my toys with my grandma,
Oh,
and she gave them away.
oh.
And
Me, the
I was
opposite.
about everything.
Oh,
I had my all my toys from my childhood. I was about 15 years old at this
okay.
time, so I was carrying them in my junior high backpack. It was a backpack with my Super Nintendo games. I remember having my Optimus, my Grimlock. I had Soundwave. I had Hound, Hoist. I had my Raph and stuff, and it was full of toys. And I took care of them for about 9 years. And it was going to be the first time we were going to fly from Texas to California.
Okay. Yeah.
And my mom said, just leave them with your grandma. She'll take care of them. I came back 2 years later. I was about 17 years old, and I was like, Grandma, where's my toys? And she's like, which toys? And I'm like, oh man, the backpack. And she's like, oh yeah, your cousins took them and they
Oh,
destroyed them
come
all.
on. Okay.
Yeah, I went and interviewed my cousins, and I went like, what the hell did you do to them? They're like, oh yeah, we took them to the dirt, we played with them, and yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
they
but
messed
I
them up.
mean, nobody knew like we were gonna be, these adults collecting these toys
Well,
20 years
I
later.
knew.
Oh,
I
you knew?
knew. I
Okay.
knew because I mean I wanted them. I would never get you know the nickname or the title collector or whatever you want to call it. To me, it was irrelevant because I just wanted my toys. Something something inside of me when I saw that Optimus Prime told me, don't play with it. I mean, my fun, my love for it was just to see it. So I think since that point I became a collector. Now that I'm an adult and we call ourselves that collectors, I mean we know that, but I knew it. I knew I wanted it, and every time my mom, because we were in California, and sometimes my mom will talk to my grandma on the phone, and I'll be like, "Who are you talking to?" She's like, "Oh, it's your grandma. Ask her about my toys." And she'll be like, Raulito says, what about her? She says they're fine. She will confirm they were fine. And I
Yeah.
will keep in my head about but I was, like I said, I was 15, 16, 17 at this point. I actually worked at a mall
Oh,
where they had in California at Buena Park Mall, they had a KB Toys. And I remember I used to clean them all. And I remember going in there just to look at toys, because my passion of toys,
yeah.
it was there. I cannot explain it, and on the channel, on my channel, Raul El Pelon, I had a discussion like we're having right now, but with a psychologist. I invited a psychologist because I do radio for a living, so I'm a radio host.
Hmm.
So I know doctors, psychologists, lawyers, etc. So I invited this psychologist, and I said, and I just wanted to ask her, how come? Why do we collect? Are we crazy? Is there something wrong with us? And she told me, no, collecting is very normal. Just don't let it, like everything else, it could get out of hand. and that's when it can turn really bad, because you can turn into a hoarder if you don't take care of your it could become an addiction. So but she was like, but if you collect in a good way, in a healthy way, it's good, nothing will happen to you. And and I asked her, why do we collect? And she said, because it's human nature. I mean, they have found, historians have found collections of rocks, collections of bones. Human beings, we collect because we sometimes, we feel that the necessity or attachment to something. And, sometimes people collect flowers. I've known people that collect fungus, mushrooms, just a bunch of stuff, and we collect toys.
I do think like definitely like it's in order to somehow research it as well, or experience it, or look at it, and really like dig into what it is. There's a part of it that's just gathering, like I need as many as possible, but once
Yes.
you calm down in the collecting habit, you start like checking it out. And I think that's why you do it. It's in order to, when you have the free time, to really dig deep and be like, oh, this is
Yeah.
I've got.
Well, and also along this journey, since I opened up my channel in YouTube back in 2019, and I got to know other collectors, because before I used to be a collector just for myself. My collection used to be just for me. But now that I get to hang out with other collectors, I've learned that, or I've noticed there's a bunch of different collectors. And for example, your way of collecting, it really caught my attention, because you know what you like, you know what you want, but you are not willing to pay the crazy prices that sometimes are on the market today.
Yeah.
And I admire that from you, because you really, I mean, because you know what you like. For example, you like, you love Ninja Turtles, and you would love to get an undercover turtle, but you're not willing to pay the big old huge prices. But if you see it at a reasonable price, you will pick it up. Why not? And,
You're the
and
same, because like when we were in
yes.
Mexico, you're like, oh no, don't get this. Yeah, you'll probably see it cheaper and stuff. And I was like, well, but I mean, like if I were to buy this where I'm coming from, it'd be like 6 times the price of what is being offered. And you're like, no, it's okay. So I kind of like trusted that, and was like really like, okay, I get
Yeah.
it. And then again, like if we would have walked 3 stalls down in Mexico, I was like my kids. Like every boot, I would see something I'd want, and I kind of have to be my own dad. Be like, no, just put
No.
something at the end, you know.
Yeah. And talking about that, right now, if since you were asking me how am I today?
Yeah.
Today, as a collector, I'm almost full. I'm almost out of space. And again, so, I don't want this collection to turn into a hoarding space. I want everything on its own space. And each piece that I buy now, it's either to better up the piece that I already have on my collection, or to replace the one that I have, or it has to have a space. I have to make space for it. I have to put him. Okay, I have to ask, or because I know what I have, and I know where I can put it at. But if I don't find a place for it, I won't buy it.
Yeah.
I won't buy it. And sometimes people on YouTube, they expect on each and every video and each of every store that I go to buy something. But it's and sometimes I do. If it's, like I said, if it's falling to these categories, if it's better on my collection, if I have a place for it, I will buy it. If not, I won't. And it's just gonna be a video of me going out toy hunting, and guess what? I didn't find anything that fits my collection, And I start reading all the comments of people going like, "Oh my God, how could you let this pass? Oh, I will be all over this. How come you're not so good? You didn't buy this." Or but the thing is, we all need or we all want different stuff at each different point of your collection. Right now, for example, on Motu, I'm almost there. I'm almost full. I mean, I could only think of maybe one or two pieces that I would really like, and not really where to put them because I'm full. On Ninja Turtles, I also need or want a couple of pieces. Transformer, maybe a couple of pieces. Saint Seiya, but the hunt, it will never end.
Yeah.
But I cannot keep just buying and buying and buying the whole store every time I
I've
go out.
been really intrigued by play sets lately, which is
Yes,
the most terrible thing for space in your
horrible,
collection. But
horrible.
they're so freaking beautiful.
It is. They're
They're
amazing.
usually like the high ticket item or the biggest price point in a line. So they put a lot of effort into it in order for you to
Sometimes,
sometimes
sometimes.
it's also like the thing that they would make the most money on.
I will. I
So
will say.
yeah,
I will say. Yeah, but I will say rare variants are the high ticket items. Rare variants and also limited amount items. For example, on TMNT Scratch. I mean, and I don't think there's a playset on the line that will even come close to the price of Scratch the Cat. On Motu, the most expensive item on Motu, I will say maybe could be the Giants. It could be Titus or Megator, and if you could get them on, mint condition, I mean, they could be up to upwards of $5,000, $6,000, but I mean Eternia, it is up there with them, and but yeah, I mean, like you say, they display beautifully. And for example, I love Transformers. Transformers is the toys of my life, and I have this beautiful custom made diorama, which
yeah,
because
it's
Transformers,
insane. Yeah.
you seen it live, and I'm not much into customs, but this thing right here was a dream of a lifetime, and having it here. Thank you so much to Gerardo from Inter Gerardos. He took the time and do it. Transformers was or is one of those lines that they hardly did any play sets at all. The same toys were their own playsets like Fortress Maximus or Metroplex, these Transformers that turn into cities, Triptychon, etc. But they did make a couple of playsets back in the 80s. One of them it was a Melloway,
Yeah,
and the
the
other one,
cardboard one, the
yes,
star thing. Yeah.
the star package. Yeah, you could sign up in this fan club, and you will get the star package, and it'll come with your playset, and also this other one playset, which is right here next to it. It's very little. I don't know if you can see it, but this one right here is made out of carbon as well,
Yeah.
and even the cover of the box was part of the for you to build it up and stuff. But
Oh wow.
those were mainly it. Yeah, and Transformers is just one of those lines that didn't need many play sets for you to play with them, but like I love Eternia. Out of my head, I can think of the sewer playset from Ninja Turtles, the Technodrome. It's just beautiful. Castle Grayskull, I mean, come on. The Thundercats
It's
layer.
probably the best playset ever made.
Oh
Castle
yes,
Grayskull. I
Castle
mean, to
Grayskull
me,
was, yes.
I don't know if
I-
the volume is better now, guys. I saw in the comments my volume is too low, so I changed around
Okay,
mics now. Let me know if it's okay. Otherwise, I'll just talk louder. There you go.
there you go.
My kids are asleep, but hey, I mean, I only get to talk to you so many times. So, um, going back to your childhood, are there like a couple of toys you didn't get or didn't have the opportunity to get as a kid that you still remember? Perhaps you've
Oh
only
yes.
acquired them now, but what
Oh
were like the ones that got away in your childhood?
yes. And the worst part is I had them right in front of me. They were in my house and I couldn't touch them because we all had a friend or a relative that had everything. In my case, it was my cousin Benjamin. We used to call him El Gordo, as a nickname. And my cousin Benjamin, he was rich. My aunt, my uncle, they were business owners. They were rich. They were really close to my mom, and I got to hang out with my cousin every weekend. I love going to his house, and every weekend I will cry to my mom if I could sleep over because we will have so much fun, man. I mean, my cousin, to me, he blew my mind when I would sleep over at his house, that he had cable TV. I didn't know what it was because to me, cartoons were only after school or on Saturdays because I only had open channel TV, with the one with the antenna.
Hmm.
But at his house, you can turn on the TV at 1 in the morning, and there will be cartoons on the TV, and I was like, what? And there will be yeah, and there will be cartoons that I didn't even get to see on my TV, because first of all, on my house we only had one TV, at his house, we could see the Disney Channel. Yeah, we could see reruns from the Ninja Turtles. We could see Thundercats. We could see these other cartoons that I was like, oh my god. And then I remember my cousin telling me one day, I'm going to Disneyland, and I'm like, when, how? To me, it was just crazy. He was the cousin that traveled to Disneyland, and he was the cousin that got to come to the United States. I don't know, maybe twice, three times a year. They will buy him toys. But I remember my aunt buying some toys for my cousin, and then she gave them to my mom, so she will take care of them because they were gonna be for Christmas. So she didn't want my cousin to see them. So she bought the Ecto One, the Kenner Ecto One, on its box, and also Castle Grayskull. And I had these two
Yeah.
boxes. I had these two boxes at my house in my mom's closet,
Just
and
taunting you,
my
probably.
mom saw that I found them. Because she will
Yeah.
hide them from me. And she was like, "Do not open them." She's like, "They're your cousins," and she explained the whole thing to me. She was like, "I'm taking care of them. Do not open them." And I'm like, "Mom, can I see them? Can I just see the box?" And she's like, "Yes. Do not open them." So I took these boxes, and I remember putting them on my mom's bed and just staring at them
Looking at
for hours, dude. I remember, like, and then just turning around the box and then just looking at the graphics. And I mean, yes, and when I started collecting back in 2001, because
Mhm.
around 1997 I found out that my grandmother gave away my toys, and I was hopeless. 1997 my son was born. I got married really young. I got married at like around 17 years old. By 18 I was already a dad. I'm 44 and I have a 25-year-old. So, I started really, really young. But 1997, 98, 99, 2000, they were really busy years for me because I had to concentrate on working. I had to, I had a kid. I always missed the toys. The toys were always in the back of my head. And then I discovered eBay.
Oh,
I
okay.
was, yeah,
Yeah.
I used to work at Singular Wireless, customer service, just in front of the computer. And when they gave me a computer, I was like, I'm gonna Google Optimus Prime G1. I'm like, Optimus Prime. So something came up, and I saw the option of buying it, and I was like, whoa, hold on, what's going on? So I opened up an account, and yeah, I mean, I've been on eBay since 2001. And when I got my Transformer, on the mail, I was like,
Yeah.
that started this whole
This is
thing.
it.
So
Okay.
I got Hoist back, Grimlock back, Ninja Turtles back. I got Optimus Prime was the first thing that I got
So
back.
you were
And
21 when you started collecting.
I was around 21, yes. So,
Wow.
and I had to get that Ecto one, and I had to get that
Yeah.
Castle Grayskull, and and then I started going through my mind. I started going on my head. Okay, what other cartoon that I remember? Oh, I remember Count Dracula. Okay, Count Dracula. Save. I used to save my searches. What other
I
one?
still have a Count Duckula for you.
Oh,
I still
you
gotta bring it over.
man,
I
man.
got you one of the ones you were missing. So
Oh,
yeah,
thank you so much, man.
yeah.
And yeah, I started going through my head. I was like, Jason the Wheel Warriors, yes. What else? What else? Tiger Sharks, yes. Uh, Thundercats, okay. Ninja Turtles, all right. So I started saving all these searches, dinosaurs and stuff. And I remember talking about dinosaurs. I don't know if anybody remembers that line. I remember back then when I did that search. I search in Spanish dinoplatíbulos. I search in English dinosaurs because sometimes I will remember the names in Spanish, but then for you to look up the line will be in English. And then
Was it already difficult finding them then, or
it was really easy. It was really easy,
what?
but I remember it was I remember back then when I put dinosaurs. I remember seeing the prototypes for sale,
Yeah,
the ships,
yeah. The
even the
little
even
ones.
the
Yeah,
even the figures, but
yeah.
they were super expensive. I remember the ships they were about $1,000. But
Wow.
my paycheck for a 21-year-old dad, my paycheck I remember being $700 every 2 weeks.
Yeah,
So in order for me to spend $1,000 on a toy, it was unheard. I mean, it was impossible, But if I could go back in time, man, and they slowly started disappearing, and I remember looking for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle cells. The animation cells.
hmm
They were $10 each, all day long, man,
yeah.
all day long. So yeah, I mean, it was different times. I know. Oh my god. I know.
So, your toy collecting basically started in
Yes.
2001, and then you
Black.
started the channel in 2019, or
Well, my toy collecting started in 2001, but my channel I started it in 2019. Yes,
yeah.
I opened up YouTube way back. I remember
hmm
because I do radio as a living again.
hmm
So any new social media, you try to be in it. But when I opened up YouTube, I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know how
Okay.
it worked. I didn't know how
Yeah.
it worked. So I would just upload my work stuff. If we will record a TV commercial, uh, I will upload it there. If we had an interview with a music band, I will upload it there. But then in 2015, I met a guy because of dinosaurs.
hmm
So I never gave up the dream of having dinosaurs. My first dinosaur, I remember, I bought it back in 2012. I bought it from a guy on Facebook. I bought two of them for 250. Two of them,
Yeah.
Bonehead and Bronto Thunder. Yeah, it was a very good price. To me back then it was kind of expensive, but I was already in the point of putting a little bit more money into my collection because the most expensive toy that I will buy back then, 2012, was maybe $50, $100. You know, but I said, you know what? I feel like dinosaurs, so I bought me some. 2015, I met a guy through eBay that he was selling some custom dinosaurs.
I mean,
That I yeah
Master
and
Turtle Customs. Or,
yeah no they were I don't know who the guy was, not Master Turtle. Not
Okay.
Master Turtle. It was somebody else. It was somebody else. They were weird. They were like handmade.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
they were not as pretty as Master Turtle. So they called my attention, and I reached out, to this guy on eBay, and I found out he lived in Wilmington, California, and I was in Bellflower. So we were like literally 20 minutes away.
Yeah.
So I messaged him on eBay, and I'm like, do you think I can stop by and look at him? Maybe I can buy him. He's like, sure. So we shared information through eBay back in 2015, and I ended up going to his house. So this guy was Joe, and now they call him Joey Ross. Joe Ross.
Yeah.
That's what they call him. Because when I went into his house, to me he was the first collector that I ever known. It was just crazy, dude. He had a room full of toys, just like I did. I had a garage full of toys in Bellflower, California. But he was like, look, and I have the undercovers from Ninja Turtles, and I was like, what
What?
is that? I didn't know them. I didn't know them back in
Yeah.
2015. I swear to you, I didn't know them because to me, I was just collecting for myself. To
Yeah.
me, having the four original turtles with Krang, Splinter, and the Shredder, to me was good enough. And the Turtle Band, maybe
Yeah.
the blimp, but that was maybe Bebop, Rocksteady, and a Foot Soldier. But that's it.
Yeah.
To me, Motu was the Castle Grayskull that I always wanted. Skeletor, He-Man, Panther, Battle Cat, and maybe any figures that I could pick up for $1. A bunch of incomplete figures for $1 that I will get.
Hmm.
But when I walk into these guys' collection, Joe's in 2015, he's like, "Look, and I have Titus and Megator," and I was like,
Who are those? Yeah.
"Who are those?" But he started showing me these stuff that I didn't know and that I didn't appreciate at the time.
I
But
think what you're trying to describe is the same thing I had with my vintage guy who I've known for like 12 years. I used to go there for video games, and then one day he said, like, I have some turtle stuff. You can come and check out some turtle stuff. So he led me into this whole other room, and
mm,
all of a sudden it clicked. This could be a thing. Because
oh,
he had like the sectors, he had the hive, he had an Eternian box, he had everything over
wow,
there in this room. He had like the thing I'm trying to do with like the displays is just like random stuff like multiverses of toys. And over there it just kind of clicked like, oh, this could be a thing. This could be my thing. Oh, uh I think we lost Raul there for a minute. But yeah, what Raul was saying before, um it kind of felt like um similar to your story, like you met this guy, you saw his collection, you were like, oh, this,
yes.
this could actually
Well, I mean, I already had a collection going, but it was my collection,
yeah,
and it was to because I didn't know anybody else, so it was my way of collecting.
yeah.
Because I started my collection started when I lived in Odessa, Texas, Odessa, West Texas. So
Hmm.
I moved to Dallas, Texas, and when I moved to Dallas, Texas, back in 2011, I already had a bunch of toys, but they were in a closet in Odessa from 2001 to 2011 for 10 years. All my toys were in a closet.
Oh wow, yeah.
Because, but when I moved to Dallas, Texas, Arlington, not this house, other house. I told my wife I need a toy room, so I got it. Yeah, I got it back in 2011, and I displayed my collection, and it felt really good. I even had an arcade in there. You see my arcades, but now they don't fit in
Yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah.
So 2013, I moved to California, and I told my wife, we're gonna buy a house. Now my wife, she's like, I need my kitchen. I want my big kitchen. My girls, they're like, I want a pool. And I said, I need my toy collection, and I need a theater room. So we started knowing more of what we want. So our house in California had all that, and my toy collection was in a garage because my house in Cali, it had three garages. So
Oh
two of them, yeah, and one of them was separated. So that was
yeah,
it. That was my toy room. And we moved back to Texas, and we moved back to the original house I bought in 2011. So I remodeled that, and when I started my YouTube channel, you guys can see that old room. And now we moved into this house, and it had to have my toy room, and this is it, the one you knew.
Yeah.
So my collection has always had a space since 2011, but in 2015, when I went into this guy's room and I saw these other toys that I never knew, it opened up my mind to more stuff, to the holy grails. Because I will always chase my holy grails, mine, which it doesn't mean it has to have a bunch of value, but like Megatron, Optimus, Soundwave, all of that normal stuff. But I never knew of variants. I never knew of holy grails, of rare toys, until I met Joe in California. And then Joe, he told me back in 2015, he's like, well, there's a guy on YouTube that you should follow. And I'm like, who? And he told me Matt Hunter. And I was like, okay. I just heard the name, and I moved on with my life. But we kept talking because he was the only collector that I knew. And sometimes we were like, so how the dinosaurs? He will ask me for the dinosaurs. Oh, I'm like, good, man. And I will send them pictures and stuff. And one day he said, I want him back. And I said, sure. Well, I mean, so we traded toys, and we were just having too much fun. And around 2017, about 2 years later, or 2018, maybe 3 years later, I don't remember, I asked Joe again. I'm like, so what's the name of the guy you told me on YouTube? And he's like, Matt Hunter. I'm like, okay. So I put him on, and I started looking at his material, and it was really good. I loved it. I loved it, but I loved everything but one thing.
Okay. Yeah.
He didn't do enough of what I wanted. He
Hmm.
didn't do enough of Transformers. And I am the type of person that if you don't like something, it's not that I didn't like it. I like his work, but I wanted more of my stuff. So I'm the type of guy that, okay, if you want more of that stuff, well, you do it. And I was already on radio. I had already been 20 years doing radios. I started back in 1998. So this year was like around 2018. I was in LA. I will do a bunch of TV. I've never been afraid of the camera.
Hmm.
And I said to myself, well, I mean, why don't I start doing it? Why don't I start up my own channel, and why don't I start doing it? Just and do more of what I like. If you like Transformers, let's do Transformers. You like Tiger Sharks, because I heard sometimes he will talk about Tiger Sharks, and he will have a Tiger Shark on his hands, and he will say, "This toy never came to Mexico," and I was like, "What? Yes, it did. I saw it in stores." But I will never. I'm not the type of person to go on the comments and go like, "You're wrong. They did no." I mean, you do
Yeah.
it, and you do it the way you want. So I started my channel, and I remember it was around 20. I think it was 20, the end of 2017, where I recorded my first video. It sounded horrible. The sound was nasty. The camera was,
The angles. Yeah.
the angles were tilted. It was just bad. It was really, really bad. But it was the beginnings. I was practicing, and I think first videos were around 2018, 20, but 2019 I started taking off, and since then it's we have like 121,000 friends, and collectors, and it's just been a fun experience getting to know a bunch of new people, and also learning the learning process. You always learn new stuff from new people, and nowadays you can still find out about new variants. That's what I really got into, variants, and I just love it.
Yeah. It's insane how connected you get to so many people all over the world when you
Yes.
turn your collecting into like this social thing through, whether it be just through uploading images on Instagram and connecting with the collectors there, or going on a TikTok or doing a YouTube video, like you're saying, like I think I can do it better, or I think I'd want somebody to talk about different aspects of this toy hunt or this toy someone is reviewing. So I'll go ahead and do that. It's quite
Yeah.
similar how I approached it, I think, and just getting to be connected to you, getting people from all over the world that watch your stuff. It's an insanity at the same time, but it
Yeah.
also just helps so much, clear so much stuff up. You have a community you can ask questions to. You have a community that's responsive as well. You're not just in the dark figuring stuff out yourself.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is that you get to know so many collectors, and like I said, you get to meet so many people that collect in different ways that you do, and you get to learn to respect that, because nobody has the true nobody. I mean, sometimes people think that the way you collect is the way you should everybody should collect, and that's not it. I mean, people collect vintage with new. Sometimes I've known, for example, with Transformers, I've known collectors that I'm like, he collects Transformers, but he doesn't collect the same thing that I collect, because they hate vintage, because
Oh wow.
vintage was not up to scale. Optimus, it was not up to scale to
Yeah.
Megatron and Soundwave and Grimlock and Devastator. But then you get to meet people or collectors that for them scale is everything,
Yeah,
and
they
they
check
get,
out the source material from the cartoon and they
yeah,
want it to be in order instead of
exactly.
they got to do it through the toys and then the cartoon. Yeah.
So you go to their collections, and they're like, look, I have the Fortress Maximus from the Titans Return line, because it goes with the scale of the Transformers, this from that, robots in disguise, and I love it how this Optimus from this line poses with this Metroplex from this other line, and that's a way of collecting. I will never collect. I don't care about scale. I collect what I call myself. I was thinking about it, and I asked myself this question. I said, what kind of collector are you, Raul? And I said to myself, I think I am nostalgic, nostalgic, completist type of collector, loose type of collector. I collect because of nostalgic. If it's a toy from my childhood that I remember, or a toy line that I remember from my childhood, I will collect it. And also, I found out on this journey that sometimes I just look around my toy room and I say, I'm gonna complete this line. So yes, I try to be a completist as much as I can, because there are some lines that are close to impossible of collecting, like Transformers is just too much. It's just crazy. But for example, this year I started with Dino Riders,
Yeah.
and you guys will start seeing videos of that journey. But I have a lot of fun trying to complete those lines, even though I only had one Ankylosaurus cheap Dino Rider when I was a kid. But now I'll have the Brontosaurus, the T Rex, because I try to complete all those lines.
And once you start, figuring out like how those waves worked, you kind of interconnect it and place it next to what was the Ghostbusters line doing then, what was the other
Yeah,
line doing then, and that's what makes it so interesting. Like, oh, maybe they saw that work for them, so they, it's crazy how like I think like the idea from Dino Riders was also transmitted onto Street Sharks in a way,
yes.
because the guy that made
Well,
Dino Riders was like, oh, they just made these molds of dinos and they kept reusing them. Do the same thing with Street Sharks. So it's all
well,
connected in a weird way.
the muscles from the street sharks, they come from Motu.
Yeah,
The armor on the Mighty Mice from Mars Knights,
yeah.
the armor on the Metal Mutants
It's
Ninja
all
Turtle
Saint
line.
Seiya and
This
stuff.
is Saint Seiya. That is Saint Seiya stuff. The meteors from Motu,
It's Transformers.
Transformers.
Yeah,
So you get all these yeah, you get all these ideas, all these
yeah. And then you,
crossovers.
I think you also have like the meteorbs. They interconnected with the Haley comet at the time, as well
Exactly.
as they changed like the card art on Rock On and the other Rock dude, um, to like a meteor, because that's what was going on in the news. Everybody was talking
Yeah,
about it.
and that
So
was for the American market because in
yeah,
Japan, meteors were not even meteors; they were not even connected to Motu at all.
yeah,
And yeah, but you get to start learning all these crazy details, and it is very very interesting. And for example, on Transformers, when I was a kid, I remember having Grimlock,
yeah.
which I have him right here, and I remember playing with it and going, what
What is
is
it?
this?
Yeah,
What the? And I
indeed.
was and I was like, this is a chair. This
Yeah,
is a chair, but what sits in it? And and we never knew until I was a big kid now, and I learned these were diaclones, and they also had riders, and
yeah,
they were choking hazards, and Hasbro didn't even want to bother, and they were a whole new. Now they were autonomous robots. They were not, they were not mechas anymore. So you start learning all of that, and yeah, it's just very interesting.
oh, definitely, man. Um, so your YouTube channel is in Spanish, and
Yes.
it seems like once we connected, like this whole multiverse on YouTube unfolded for me. I knew about Matt Hunter, but there's just a ton of really cool Spanish speaking YouTubers as well. Just like there's going to be in all sorts of languages. It's
Oh yes.
insane.
Well,
Um,
Ariel from
yeah,
the channel On
yeah,
Punch. I mean,
yeah.
he's just something else as well.
No, we have Space Comics as well doing it.
Yes.
Marquenas, the girl
Oh,
from.
Macarena. Yeah, we have
I don't know
Macarena.
how to pronounce it, but I didn't want to.
Yeah, yeah, we have Macarena. Nowadays, we have a bunch of channels. That, and you have a lot of options, and I think that's great. I think that's amazing because you get hours and hours of entertainment, hours of learning, and also I mean I love your channel. It's just amazing. How you do all your different history videos, and your hunting videos, and you're very professional, and I love the way you edit your videos. They're just amazing how you take the time to do all this. And I think it's great. It's great for the community to have that option now. Good thing for us that are bilingual. I get to I get to see it. I get to see the Spanish channels and
Yeah,
understand the English channels. But I mean, I wish it could be as easy for us to create content in Spanish and for YouTube to translate. But it's
yeah,
still a process there.
yeah. But I mean, I enjoy
Do you
watching your
understand? Do
videos
you do you watch?
with the translations going on. So
Do you understand, or is there a way for you to see it with subtitles, or how do you do it?
yeah, it's auto translated to English. So
It does.
yeah, yeah. After a couple
Oh,
days, it does. So yeah,
oh, I didn't
pretty
know.
pretty
Cool.
okay. Yeah,
Oh well, I mean, I don't use that option, so I don't know. So I just watch your channel, and I mean, I love Pixel Dan, and I mean, definitely, I see your content every time, and there's a lot of great content creators in English and Spanish, and that have great content. There's a bunch of Chinese
yeah,
channels as well that are just insane, and it's just a great community, definitely, and different ways of collecting as well.
I think we're hitting the 1 hour mark, and I know you have to be somewhere in like 15 minutes. But I have one last question that I really wanted to ask you. When we were in Mexico, people were referring to you as like a master toy collector or like a master, something like that. What does it refer to? Is it something
Well,
that's just derived from the language, or is it?
well, I mean, it's just it could be in Spanish we call it. It could be un piropo, an halago. It could be they're just being nice. They're just
Is it
being too
because you
nice.
educate when you collect,
I,
or
well, I mean, on my videos, I try to learn about a certain toy line or certain toy, and I try to, I try to communicate it as well, and people really appreciate that, and a lot of people have told me that they started collecting because they saw my videos because or they didn't know about certain toys because they didn't know the background of certain toys, and now they appreciate it. And I mean, it's just they're just being too nice. I don't think of myself as a master or of anything. I'm just a guy that loves the hobby. Collecting. I think it's a way of life. I've talked to my wife, and I told her, do you mind for me to do this? Because she doesn't collect. She doesn't collect anything, and she's like, I don't mind, And I mean, I've been collecting since she knew me, and we've been married, many many years, 20 something years. We've been together, and 22 years around there. And but it's just been I don't know. It's just been really fun, and for people to call me that is just flattering for me. They're just being nice,
it's
and I
just
and
being
I
nice?
do appreciate it. But I don't consider myself any master. It's just
Uh,
that I'm
I
really passionate
I think
about what I
like
do.
just spending the time with you, getting to go around Mexico, I learned so much. It's just been like an avalanche of knowledge coming out of you. So I do get
Appreciate it,
why you
man.
say it. it's
Appreciate it,
it's
man.
it's
Thank you so
definitely
much, and
yeah.
and also, I mean, not because you're here, but I've been talking to some other friends, and just getting also to know you, man. You're such a great human being. You can just tell by the way you move around, and the way you collect. I really respect it because uh, again, it doesn't matter the price. It doesn't matter if it's a rare item or not. If you love it, you pick it up, and I think that's bottom line what it needs to be done. Because sometimes I get a lot of messages on my personal social medias from people that ask me, hey, I just got this one, do you think it's worth buying it? And I'm like, what do you mean? I mean, I ask them,
Yeah.
that should be a question for you to answer yourself.
Mhm.
Or are you collecting because of the monetary value, or do you really like it? And I try not to be rude, but I think we should all collect because we love it. And I
Yeah.
mean, if you're collecting because of the monetary value, there's nothing wrong with it, but be careful because
Just, collect what you love and you'll never get cheated. So,
exactly,
yeah.
because if you collect because of the value, you know again, I've talked to many experts and I've talked to financial experts, and one thing that I learned from them is hobby. It's your hobby. It's not an investment. Your hobby is not an investment. Don't look at this as your retirement, because that Ninja Turtle, that Thundercat, that Motu, that Transformer, it might be $100 today. It might be $100 5 years from now. And guess what? It's not the same.
Yeah.
You already lost money, and
Yeah.
it might not be $100. It might be $80. It might be $50. So guess what? You're gonna lose money. And if you look at history, because I went to a convention and I saw a guy, an old guy, selling his whole GI Joe collection for pennies, and
Yeah.
nobody was buying them. And he told me before, maybe 10, 15 years, somebody will pay $100 for this figure, and he's like, right now it's 40 and nobody's buying it.
Yeah.
So it's gonna happen,
Yeah.
Our there's
Mhm.
gonna be some franchises that are gonna be not worthless, but they're gonna be not as much as right now.
Uh,
I tell you that.
to me, it's never been about the monetary thing. It's about the experience. And if I have to pay
Exactly.
more to experience buying it, finding out where it came from, and going to a place where I can buy it, and it's like this journey you go on, uh, eh, that's worth the money to me, not having the
Yeah.
value of the toy. So, yeah,
Yeah, and
that's
also,
just
and
kind of how it works for me. I'm terrible financially, probably, but but
yeah,
I don't care. My
and
hobby.
also and
So
also the history, and also the history behind it. For example, there's some bootleg toys that I had to buy online
mhm,
because the
it's hard to
chances
find
for
them.
me to go to a flea market and find it, it's just maybe very slim. But if I bought it online, it will be because of the history of it, because of that I really, really wanted to add that figure to my collection. For example, the dinosaur bootleg toys that you saw that I got in Mexico.
Mhm.
I mean, to me, that was just an amazing piece because it's one of my favorite lines.
It's so
It
fragile as well.
it's very fragile.
Yeah.
It's original from the 80s.
Mhm.
It's they were limited produced. A guy, maybe like a sculptor, toy maker back in the 80s. He's like, what's going on today on TV? Let's see. Oh, there's these dinosaurs walking, and he made them out of his own head, because they're original molds. He didn't copy them from any other toy. To me, that's just mind blowing. And also, if you put all of this stuff plus the rarity of the toy behind it, when I got the chance to buy that thing for thousands of pesos, I was like, yes. And a bunch of people were like, you're crazy. You're paying too much money. It's just a bootleg toy. La la la. I used to buy that for 10 pesos at the flea
Yeah.
market. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But nowadays, they're impossible to get.
Mhm. No, they're
It's just too much. YouTube is just too much fun, man. It's just too much fun.
it is. Ah, man, I've had so much fun talking to you once again.
Hey, me too, man. Me too.
I had a bunch more questions. Maybe we should pick this up somewhere down the line in this series
Let's
once
do it.
again. I'm sorry about the volume. I hope it kind of worked out a little bit later on in the video. I'm sorry about not being able to process the live chat too easy, but we only had 1 hour to work with.
To me, you sound really
Definitely
good.
leave in the comments down below if you had any questions you wanted to ask maybe a next guest, and who should be the next guest. Leave it down in the comments below as well. Once again, I'd like to thank Raul so much for being my first guest on this podcastery of whatever this is going to be. People can find you on YouTube as Raul El Pelon. There's a waterfall of just amazing videos on there. Go check him out. This guy travels over to the places a lot of English speaking YouTube visitors might not check out, but there's amazing toys to be found there. There's also tons of toy hunting being done by you in the US itself. So, yeah, and you have social media as well. So you're on Instagram and everything like that.
Yeah,
Um,
everywhere.
yeah.
Yeah, my social medias are not very much toy driven. Again, I'm a radio host, so it's mostly that. But I do have a Facebook, and it's kind of long in Spanish. It's called Raúl El Pelón Juguetes y Coleccionables, which is Raúl El Pelón Toys and Collectibles
Yeah.
in Spanish. But I mean, man, I'm just flattered to be your first guest. And whenever you reach out to me and you're like, "Hey, Raul, would you like to sit down and have a talk?" Dude, I'm always here for you, man. It's just it's just amazing. Always talking to you, sharing, and anything you need, let me know.
Okay. Awesome, man. That's gonna be it for this episode. Thank you everybody for watching and listening, and tune in for the next one. There we go.